Shane Gillis, live on stage.
I'm a bit of a history buff, which, by the way, that is early onset Republican.
His biggest tour ever is coming to Des Moines.
You're a white dude in your 20s and 30s, and you're like, I can't stop reading about World War II. It's coming, bro.
See Shane Gillis with his unmistakable comedic style. Live at Wells Fargo Arena Saturday, May 31st. Get tickets now at iowaeventcenter.com. For more, visit ShaneMGillis.com.
Attention all campers.
Keith Murphy.
What I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
Andy Fales.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway.
Powered by AD.
Just a bit outside.
Murph and Andy. Proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru and BMW of Des Moines. Live and on demand across Iowa everywhere from the Channel Seed Studios. Murph and Andy. Connected by Cellular Advantage.
Let's do it. It's Murph and Andy on a fun Friday. We're live and glad to have you with us alongside Andy Fales and Andrew Downs. I'm Keith Murphy. I can already tell, Andy, that the early onset Republican is the new, I went to see Hamilton.
I was just looking at that concert. The Shane Gillis concert isn't until May 31st. How many times are we going to hear that joke? Oh, my God. I was just thinking about this. Hey, I got my gray hair lights really kicking today.
Yeah, it looks good.
Got my
Very
haircut this morning. My hair isn't this gray when you see me in public, though, right? It isn't.
Yeah, I think you dye it before each newscast.
What's going on with the lights I got in here? I mean, they make my hair look really great. I will say, guys, I am ready for a change in hair color. I kind of welcome it. I mean, as long as I'm keeping my hair, I don't really care if it's going to be gray. But these lights are like they're punching the gas pedal on that. Look at that.
Yeah, Kahala's going to like that. I know she likes the gray hair.
When you see me doing the news at night, my hair isn't that gray, is it?
No, it's not that gray. And
what's up?
I need a haircut. Look at this. I don't know what's going on.
You look like you combed your hair with a balloon today.
It does. It does. Yeah, watch on YouTube. Hey, I want to give a thanks to, speaking of our title sponsors, BMW of Des Moines and Ramsey Subaru. Tyler Van Wielden stopped by WHO 13 yesterday with a gift, and he's like, I saw this and I thought of you. Slipknot whiskey. Because when you think of Slipknot, you probably think of me.
It looks like you tore into that already.
I did. Yeah.
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 How strong is that? What's the ABV on that?
It is 45%, so it's 90 proof.
That's where I like it. I don't like it too much higher than that. Sometimes people give me those whiskeys that are, bourbons that are 112 proof, and that's just pure gasoline, man.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
You don't have any nose hairs left after you drink a glass of that.
Yeah, this is good. It's tasty. Small batch Iowa whiskey. It tastes good, and it sounds like.
It sounds like Slipknot.
Yeah.
I like heavy metal. I like hard rock. Slipknot has always been a bridge too far for me.
Too much.
I love the fact that they're from Des Moines and they've done so well, and they do have that following. And I think they still have a house here, or I assume they don't all live together anymore.
I think they're actually more famous in some other countries than they are in the United States, and maybe even in Iowa.
It always seems like Eastern Europe just cannot ever get enough of American metal, right? And I've been to Eastern Europe, and you just walk around and they're just like, everybody's just death metal, black T-shirts, the jeans. I mean, they're just like way into the heaviest shit that we've got. Like the heavier, the better. They like Ozzy is soft rock in Eastern Europe.
We were in Amsterdam on
Ozzy
a
is yacht
boat
rock
tour.
there.
And we're on the boat, and the guide stops in front of a black houseboat. It's painted black. The whole thing's just completely black, and he tells us, that's the houseboat of Golden Earring.
Oh, nice. They're still around.
Earring. And I had to think Golden Earring, but Radar Love and
Twilight Zone.
Twilight
That
Zone.
was my favorite tune by them. Yeah, Twilight Zone. That was good.
Murph, Sam chimes in, says, nice to see Derek Zoolander's dad doing the show today.
I do need a haircut.
John Voight.
Yeah.
Colin talked me into taking my spot over at the barber because it's more important that he look good, right? He's going back to college. So now, I look best with a buzz cut with this balding hairline I have. And right now, it is just straight up in the air. Zoolander's dad, that's me. The Guest House Tavern and Oyster in West Des Moines sets the table for sports and more today, including Irish Classic, C.R.A.P, needed again. Gonna have to reassemble the C.R.A.P team.
What does C.R.A.P mean again?
That is the Campbell Rumors Assessment Project.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so anytime there's a Matt Campbell rumor, C.R.A.P gets together. Now it'd been disbanded. It wasn't together anymore. C.R.A.P was done. There were layoffs, then firings. It was a lot like legacy media. There's nobody left. The C.R.A.P room was empty.
Because most of those guys I think were from the TV station, right? And they've been laid off since then. I don't think most of them work there anymore.
Well,
last time you had assembled it, just you and Sears.
Most of it was attrition, but yeah, most of the C.R.A.P team is gone. And we've been inactive, maybe even retired. We thought we're done with this, especially after the 8-year
Wasn't
contract
Sam Lozada
extension.
part of the C.R.A.P team?
He was a part of the original member of the C.R.A.P team. Yeah, there were many members. We've had, there's been divorce within the C.R.A.P team. It's been together a long time.
Yeah, he was laid off. Yeah, that was a layoff.
But now we're gonna have to get the C.R.A.P team back together, and we'll explain that a little later. Also, setting the table today, a Caitlin reminder courtesy of Iowa last night. The Guest House Tavern, Northwoods inspired, Midwestern hospitality. Mark Freund asked me if it's, really like a Wisconsin supper club at Guest House. And it is. It does have that lodge feeling. Very cozy. Right now, high or low since our last show.
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
Those guys at wealthcharterretirement.com. That is a really good stop to make this month as you plan out your year in savings or taxes, because those are coming up real soon too. I'm going to go high here. We've got a new sponsor coming on next week, and this one's kind of exciting because we're talking sports. Iowa Public Television joins us next week to help promote their college wrestling coverage. They've got a little teaser video. Andrew, can we play that for a second?
College wrestling is back on Iowa PBS. Tune in for 5 weeks of exciting action and online at iowapbs.org.
Yeah,
all right.
And it's kind of cool. So the college wrestling that they'll be carrying, and they're going to do 5 duels. These are small colleges. This isn't the Hawkeyes and Cyclones. This is Wartburg, Loras, Coe, Grandview, Central as well, William Penn, and some women's wrestling as well. And this is the kind of stuff. This is what public television is for.
Right.
These schools, they can't afford to broadcast this kind of stuff. You're not going to have a media company come in and do that. But they're still working as hard as everybody else. They deserve coverage. And that's when you get public television, public radio, that kind of stuff comes in there so that these Iowans still do get covered. And we're flattered that they think the Murph and Andy show is the best way for them to get the word out. So that'll start next week, and they'll kind of, with their little pre-roll ads, we'll know which duel they'll be carrying that week.
There's some real winners in that list you just had, too. Some dynasties, some national championships. So good. Welcome, IPTV. Really appreciate that. I'm going high, too, and it just comes from a moment of civility that I would love to see more of. It was seeing the 5 living presidents all together at President Carter's funeral service, and just seeing handshaking, what appeared to be polite exchanges, seeing President Bush give President Obama, like the stomach tap, like bros tend to do. Seeing Presidents Obama and Trump sitting next to each other, laughing, having a conversation. More of this, please. You would expect no less, but we've seen so much acrimony and so much division that I did kind of wonder, what's this going to be like at a funeral? But it was the way it should be, and I love seeing it, and it's quite a sight to see the 5 presidents all together there.
Didn't see that the last time with George H.W. Bush's death. Trump wasn't there. So this was, I was wondering about this myself. This was really good to see. And this was fitting for Jimmy Carter, who was a guy that was all about
service,
making good peace.
Yeah.
He really was. He's really the only president that's made lasting peace in the Middle East. And that's still standing between Egypt and Israel, a couple of countries that were at each other's throats for a long time. I don't believe they fought since.
Interact on YouTube. You can email Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. AD, are you checking that email address all the time? Because I don't feel like Andy and I can be trusted to make sure we're getting to all correspondence.
Oh, yeah, I check it. It comes right into my inbox, so I check it every day. Yep.
Andy, when's the last time you've checked Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com?
The day that we set it up.
On X, it's Murph_Andy. It's all powered by Cellular Advantage. 35 regional locations, proud partner with U.S. Cellular since 1993. Let's get the buzz on a Friday.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
Logier Heating and Cooling, dedicating to providing heating and cooling solutions to Des Moines area families. The Buzz is Notre Dame and Penn State team up for an instant classic. This is our second of these college football playoffs, the other one being Texas and Arizona State. And Notre Dame advances to the championship game 27-24. This was a great game. Andy, I know we were working. I was paying somewhat of attention, but I was so enthralled that I did go back and watch when I got home.
I just had to keep running over and looking at the TV and then check the highlights later. Basically, we were busy. But, what you knew was going on here was what exactly everybody had been hoping for, and that was a really good game between two evenly matched opponents that both looked like teams that deserve to be in this position. These are instantly recognizable brands. I just think everybody got, if you're looking at it objectively, you got everything that you wanted out of a football game at this level.
Yeah, Penn State dominated early, went up 10-0. It looked like Penn State was just physically manhandling Notre Dame, and it showed the potential to maybe get away from Notre Dame. But, boy, if there's one thing we've seen about Notre Dame, a team that lost at home to Northern Illinois, this team is resilient under Marcus Freeman. He kept that team together with all those doubts, and he kept the team together in this game. They battled back, got it back to like 10-3 at halftime, and then Notre Dame came out in the second half and had a different gear, took over the game for a while, but then Penn State answered, moved back ahead, and it looked like Penn State was going to win, and then Notre Dame answered again, and you've got that tie at 24. Penn State gets the ball back with under a minute to go, and you're wondering, okay, what's Penn State going to do here? I'm in the office with Freund, and we're saying this looks like overtime, but Greg McElroy is saying on the broadcast, Penn State should be aggressive here because Drew Aller won't make a big mistake. So Penn State does get aggressive, and Aller makes a terrible pass, throwing over the middle while falling back a little bit off his back foot. Just a brutal pass to make in that situation, and it cost.
Yeah, and as you're watching this game, is everybody in this state kind of in the same boat that I am, where you're not totally sure who you're rooting for?
Yes.
I mean, I don't have anything against Notre Dame. I'm not a Notre Dame fan. They certainly, have probably they have got the market cornered on obnoxious fans. I'm sure many people would tell you. But did you want to see two I mean, if you think Ohio State is going to win the other game, I mean, did you want to see two Big Ten teams?
I think Iowa fans did. I think they feel like that makes the conference even
Is that what you wanted, Andrew?
Stronger.
I want Ohio State to win tonight, and I want Ohio State to win the championship because of the Big Ten thing. I want the Big Ten to be the champion.
Yeah.
I was not rooting for Penn State last night. F Penn State. I can't stand them. I have nothing good to say about Penn State.
Are Marcus Freeman and James Franklin like two sides of the same coin? I mean, college football coach coin.
Likable and unlikable.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right. For the same reasons too. I don't know that we know either one of them. We just hear them. And what
I
they
maintain
say.
though that Marcus Freeman is largely responsible for Notre Dame being more likable than we're used to, especially following Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
But he seems to always say everything right when he's asked a question in the press conference. If you watch the coaches' press conference the other day, it was 90% James Franklin talking.
Yeah.
And maybe 10% Marcus Freeman, who only answered a question when he needed to, and he always answered it well. But, James Franklin is very controlling. He loves to hear himself talk. He loves to throw a little side shade and get condescending. And he did this a couple of times. And you could see Freeman annoyed at the age comments. He even seemed a little annoyed at what was attempted humor by Franklin about the hairline comments. But most of all, he looked annoyed when James Franklin chose the pre-Orange Bowl press conference to say Notre Dame needs to join a conference. Yeah. And, Freeman's just sitting there, and it's not his decision whether Notre Dame's in a conference or not. And Franklin made some good points, but that wasn't the time for it. So I think a lot of people ended up with their rooting interest being based on these two coaches. Yeah. I'm sure James Franklin has his supporters, but he lost a few more now that he's 1-15 against top 5 opponents.
Yeah, no kidding. And, I kind of feel the same way about Notre Dame as I feel about the Yankees. I mean, I'm not a fan, but having them, it's good for the sport when they reach the, college football playoff, the championship game, the World Series, when they go deep. I mean, it just all seems like a bigger deal. Even if you're the team that's playing them and you beat them, that seems like a bigger deal. So Notre Dame is the tide that raises all ships, and having them in at this point, it also gives us a good reason to bring up Manti Te'o and his girlfriend again. Because was that the last time they were in the championship game?
Yes, it was. And they got boat raced by Alabama in that game. But yeah, that was 11 years ago.
The only skunking that was worse was Manti Te'o and his girlfriend.
That I may go back and watch that documentary again. That is so fascinating that happened for many different reasons. But it turns out somehow he was in this deep relationship where he's at press conferences in tears and he's never actually met this person.
Yeah, and just the media just ate it up. Oh, I know this is a really hard time for you, Manti, with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
What was she in a car accident and had all kinds of stuff going on? She died.
And in the documentary,
she didn't die.
They make it plausible that he could fall for this catfishing. Did we know the term catfishing then? I think we did.
Yeah, because that catfish documentary had been out before, and it was but it was pretty soon after that this same thing happens to a really famous dude, and everybody's
Heisman Trophy finalist
getting catfished. Yeah, there you go. That's what they were talking about in the documentary, catfish. But yeah, that was crazy. Was that a 30 for 30, or was that like an HBO?
I think it was a Netflix documentary, and it was very sympathetic to Te'o. It really it
was like
the
it was
story.
He just
really
looks naive.
Yeah, he
looks really naive,
and it fleshed out kind of his past and gave you a reason. But yeah, it was really nice to him. He did participate in it, but it was really nice to him. But I over Christmas I kind of went back and I started, because I've got Disney Plus, and it took me a while to realize that came with ESPN Plus.
It's a lot to keep up
because
with.
I'm in my 50s, right? But with the ESPN Plus, you can go back and watch all of the 30 for 30s. And I forgot, I mean, don't you guys like notice that in the world of Netflix and Amazon Prime now and everything else, there are a lot of shitty documentaries that have been done. I mean, they look good, but then you watch them and you're like, did that go anywhere? Remember that Johnny Manziel documentary we were all excited about?
Yeah.
And it just was like, dude, did like college students put this together for their final grade, their junior year or something?
It was entertaining, the Johnny Manziel one.
It's interesting. It didn't go anywhere.
It's like many documentaries, and this has been a movement we've seen that I think is a bad direction. We see too many times that the main participant is there because he's somewhat, or in some cases she, controlling the narrative of the documentary. So you're not getting an unvarnished look at what happened. Like the Manziel thing, there's all this talk about the drinking problem and the lessons learned and all that. And then it's just dropped. And then like in the final scene, he's pounding beers and shooting darts. You're like, what?
Yeah. What, you struggling as an alcoholic and this is your way out? But I went back and I was watching all these 30 for 30s, and those are by and large really done well. I mean, those are really good documentaries. The one on the Duke lacrosse team is a fantastic documentary, and it's really kind of journalism is what it is. But then I was watching the Fab Five documentary, and I was like, just to your point, Murph, I was like, I hadn't seen that one in its entirety before, and I was watching it, and I, was in my heyday as a college sports fan then, so I remember it very well. And I was like, this is being really, really nice to these guys and really is giving them an axe to grind and, forwarding their accusations about how mean America was to them. Because I don't remember that at all. I remember America loving them. But then at the end, and I'm like, and Jalen Rose really just has carte blanche in this thing. And then I realized at the end, he's an executive producer of
Imagine
the documentary.
that. It's like as great as the Last Dance documentary was, that wasn't getting made if it told the Michael Jordan story, warts and all.
Right.
So it was very much.
But you wanted to hear from him.
It was still great. It was still really entertaining. But it wasn't the whole story. But back to Notre Dame. Notre Dame, 24-24. Mitch Jeter comes on to kick the game-winning field goal.
Good snap, good hold, kick on its way, and the kick is good! Yes! Mitch Jeter, with 7 seconds left, gives the Irish a lead, 27-24.
That is the Notre Dame radio network. And if you've watched that by now, if you're a sports fan, you have. Maybe even if you're not a sports fan, you've seen it somewhere. And it's like Greg Maddux kicked it. I mean, it's like a slider or a curve. It looks like it's going to go to the right. And then Notre Dame fans will tell you Jesus blew it between the uprights.
Not touchdown Jesus in this case, but
not in this case.
Field goal Jesus.
Yeah, feel well. Yeah, feel good. It's good, right?
Well, yeah, the same sign. Yeah, for it's good. Yeah.
All right, James Franklin. We mentioned now 1-15 versus top 5. Do we think Franklin has now won the big game? Because I'm not sure he has. They played Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, lost that. And then the path to this game was SMU and Boise State. No one had a more favorable path. And Penn State was double-digit favorites in both those games and won those games. So to me, I think the case can be made he still hasn't won the big game. I expected them. I think everybody did to beat SMU and Boise State.
My brother-in-law is a Penn State alum. He's a fan. I have to take his temperature on this.
Yeah, ask him.
I would imagine, you know how fans do it. I mean, they're going to spin it in whatever direction reinforces their narrative better. Those who don't like James Franklin are using this against him. Those who have been supporting him are saying, hey, we're there. We could have won that game. We're, very close to the national title game. I just didn't look at Penn State during the rest of the year and think that's a team that should be in the national title game. So I don't know how you can be a fan of that program and be disappointed with where they ended up finishing.
And Drew Aller turns out to be like, I think, every Penn State quarterback we've seen for the past 20 years. I mean, he's good.
Yep, mobile, but
not great. He was outplayed by Notre Dame's quarterback in that game. So the person who probably looks worse in this game than James Franklin, I don't know. You decide. Brian Kelly. What a bad moment this is for Brian Kelly. So he leaves Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Doesn't tell his players first. They find out via social media. He leaves them for LSU, says publicly, and this is just like a haymaker to the guys he recruited in that Notre Dame locker room. I'm leaving because I want to go somewhere where I can win a national championship. Someone that has a national championship type program. So he leaves for LSU, daps a Southern accent, my family. You know, at his first basketball game, he says the word family. Somehow he makes it into 3 syllables. And with a Southern accent.
It has 3 syllables.
Well, all right, family. Did he make it into 4?
I'm not sure. He put a weird accent to it.
I guess he just spread the syllables out too far. Yeah,
okay, right. I get it.
Sorry, I red marker out and earned. So he does all of that, goes to LSU. They haven't been in the college football playoff since he got there. And remember that stupid dance he did?
Yeah, which like LSU not being there every few years just doesn't seem to make sense. But Notre Dame is one of those programs also that's just grasped. Man, that's a hard word to say.
Grasped. It's hard to get the P. It's
grasped
like raspberry.
At straws. I mean, they've tried so hard and they've forked over so much money to coaches that didn't work out, ended up buying them out. I mean, they've just kind of fallen all over themselves trying to get a guy like Marcus Freeman, who they did not fall all over themselves to get. So I think that's kind of fun the way that ended up working out for
me too.
A guy that we all seem to like, even though we don't know him.
Yeah, we don't know him, but he seems like a cool dude. Quickie poll is from WCI Pools and Spas, located in Ames and Urbandale.
Who looks worse as a big-time college football coach? Is it James Franklin or Brian Kelly?
My family. Brian Kelly's from Boston, by the way. My family and I are so happy to be here in Baton Rouge. It's Brian Kelly. I agree with so far the majority here. Brian Kelly.
Wasn't even involved. Wasn't even involved in this.
Not even in this game. He's got LSU fans trying to figure out, how do we get out of this contract?
Well, because, I mean, it was Notre Dame. Notre Dame should never be difficult to get into the college football playoff. I mean, Notre Dame should be born in the college football playoff. They should be there from the very beginning and have to play their way out of it. I mean, it's basically the way it is. And he was one of the most highly respected coaches in the game, and he couldn't do it. At least he didn't do it.
He couldn't do it. And he's the kind of coach that I don't know him personally, but his public personality, his public persona is such that you're okay with him as your coach when he's winning. When he's not, you don't like you really just don't like him. Like we've talked about this many times where coaches who are likable get a benefit of the doubt from fans and media and everybody longer than coaches who just don't come off as likable. I mean, Fran McCaffrey experiences this all the time with his fan base. And Brian Kelly is just not likable to most fans. So if he's not winning, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. So we'll see how long that goes. But a reminder, Notre Dame, now going to the national championship game, gets to keep the entire $20 million from advancing in the college football playoff. Texas or Ohio State will end up with just over $1 million because they have to divide that, 16 or 18 ways in the pie.
Yeah. And Notre Dame they're going to take that money and they're going to use it to reduce ticket prices next year.
Yeah. Everything's coming down. I've heard the same thing. So Notre Dame versus Ohio State or Texas, it's going to be a ratings blockbuster. We have Notre Dame, which had the most rooting interest, as we showed you on Wednesday's show across the country of the 4 remaining teams. And then these are the 2 biggest budgets in football right here, Ohio State or Texas, huge brands. Either way, you're going to get a big number despite foolishly being again on a Monday night work week.
Yeah, teams that didn't get a bye, teams that had to work from the beginning. I mean, really, either one of those teams. Notre Dame, that just looking at that path there. This has been fun, having this whole extra layer to the playoff, seeing these extra games. They weren't all good, but, I mean, just knowing that the road was this much longer and therefore, the end that much more earned. I don't care. I really, truly don't care who wins the Ohio State-Texas game.
I think Ohio State is going to win, but I think Texas will put up more of a fight than expected. I mean, the Longhorns should have lost to Arizona State, so I think it's hard to get that out of your mind, but they have so much talent.
I have a hard time forgiving Ohio State for the way that Michigan loss went down.
Jeez,
I'm not a Ryan Day fan either. I think that counts against them with me. But I mean, I used to like Ohio State. I mean, my dad grew up in Columbus. He loved the Buckeyes, and it's really fun to go to. That's an amazing stadium. They have a really cool history. They do all sorts of neat pageantry before their games there. Script, Ohio is so cool. Carmen, Ohio, all that stuff is just really cool. They just look like such assholes at the end of the game. At the end of the year, I mean, didn't they? I mean, they looked terrible against that Michigan. They looked terrible.
They showed more fight after the game than they did in it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just punked.
As Steve points out, this is going to be the 7 against the 8 or 9, which again shows that the seeding is just flawed the way it is. They're gonna have to change that, so we can have better matchups sooner. We had to wait all the way to Arizona State, Texas. Grimaldi's fan photo winner is Jens Hansen. We've known Jens a long time.
I'm pumped to give this to Jens today. That's great.
Jens is from Ankeny. This summer, he and his Blue Jays fan son took a road trip to Toronto and sat next to the bullpen in Rogers Center.
Does he want to go to the Ankeny Grimaldi's, or do you think he'd like to take a little trip down to West Des Moines?
He said Ankeny if Grimaldi's doesn't have a Toronto location. So he's headed to
well, it started in New York. They actually might. I don't know the answer to that question. But okay, I think a Fales family may go to Grimaldi's tonight for some pizza.
It's good pizza. Have you had the pepperoni with hot honey yet?
No, it looks good though, and you kind of sold it. We might have to try that. We like the hot honey here.
You got to try it. It's good. NFL playoffs get going. What a great weekend for sports fans, especially football fans. Yeah. So Saturday, Chargers, Texans.
Kind of felt like they were already going, though, with that Vikings-Lions game, right?
True. And that game will have a higher rating than some of these games for sure. Steelers, Ravens. Well, that feels like a Ravens win coming. The Steelers have been on a fade for a while. Sunday, Broncos, Bills. This is a nervous spot for the Bills. The Bills are heavy favorites here, or should be, but the Broncos have been playing well. Packers, Eagles, also on Sunday, and then Sunday Night Football on WHO 13 will push sound off to at least 11 p.m. Can't help but be bitter about one more week here. But
man, I thought we were done.
Commanders, Bucks. Jayden Daniels, Baker Mayfield.
No, they've done well. I mean, the Commanders they seem
12
like
wins.
Finally got something figured out there. That franchise, God, they were so good for so long. And
12
so
wins.
Bad for so long, yeah.
But on the road.
Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting games. Get them going. I don't know that one of them stands out above all the others to me.
Monday night, many fans around here will be engaged because the Vikings play the Rams. That game will not be in L.A. By now, it's been moved to Arizona because of the just out-of-control fires across the L.A. area. So that's played at Arizona.
That is so awful. Los Angeles is an absolutely incredible city, one of the coolest cities in the whole world. And just the idea of fire just raging through neighborhoods like that. The winds right now are just what is that? The Santa Ana winds, is that right? Santa Anita, or maybe that's the horse.
One of the few winds I know is the Santa Ana, so
yeah.
I hope it's that.
Yeah. But it's just fueling that, and neighborhood to neighborhood, these amazing, incredible neighborhoods, some of the coolest in all of America. Just the fire just runs right through them. It seems like 10 minutes and the neighborhood's gone. Last night in the newscast, they had burned an area of 48 square miles. West Des Moines is 45 square miles. So think of all of West Des Moines, and that's covers a lot of ground, just all being completely burned, and then some. Already,
Yeah.
And the fire is just a week old.
It's you start to watch, and it's hard to stop. It's just
it's terrible.
It is terrible. It's absolutely
the guys
terrible.
at KTLA are just working round the clock there, covering that stuff. And I mean, they don't. We were talking to Carson Bonnell, who used to be the sound off director, and she lives out in LA now. We were talking to her last night on the newscast in WHO 13, and she lives like 10 miles from the burn area, but still had ash all over her car. Gets out of her car at work, and just like everybody's wearing masks again. They got their COVID masks back out again because you're just so overwhelmed with the smoke that's everywhere.
And the way it can travel, we've had that happen here. It's like, what is this here? Oh, that's Canada.
Yeah,
Here?
Canadian
We're seeing it here in
wildfires.
Iowa?
Yeah, we'll dim the sun here.
It's wild. The Bears are interviewing at least a dozen coaching candidates, and the Chicago Tribune was the first to report that Matt Campbell, Iowa State's football coach, will be one of the candidates interviewed. The Athletic also reported this, so there's at least two credible sources saying that Campbell will interview. This, Andy, if I recall, your dad, didn't he used to have the philosophy that take an interview even if you're not going to get the job or even if you're not interested in the job? And I think there's next to no chance the Bears hire Matt Campbell. I don't even know if Matt Campbell's interested. It is, I always find it awkward when somebody has just signed a lengthy contract extension and they go do an interview, but this could be just Campbell's philosophy of somebody wants to talk to you, talk to them.
Yeah, my dad would say that. He would just say, if somebody wants to talk to you about how much they like you,
listen.
Why wouldn't you listen? I mean, you don't have to say a word. You just sit there and listen. And yeah, you take an interview. If you get a request for an interview, you do. And, honestly, what is the harm of that? I mean, I do understand the way that it panics Cyclone fans. I get that. And they question the loyalty and all that stuff. But he may pick up information there that helps him in his job at Iowa State. I mean, being more connected with the NFL and what they're looking for, how in the world does that hurt a college coach?
I mean, if you're Jamie Pollard, you probably understand this. I think some people in Jamie's position could be annoyed by it, though. I mean, you just announced an 8-year contract extension to 2032, and we live in a different world, and most people do, because the coaches have the leverage, so their contracts, by and large, are so one-sided in favor of the coach that we saw Tim Floyd sign a 10-year contract extension at Iowa State and then take the Bulls job a few months later. And oh, by the way, Fred Hoiberg also took the Bulls job. So Cyclone fans also, they are aware that Chicago professional teams have taken a couple of really popular coaches from Iowa State, but they're probably also comforted by the fact that both of those experiments failed miserably. And I just can't imagine the Bears hiring Matt Campbell. I think they need to go find somebody that already has a professional staff in mind and is known as some kind of quarterbacking guru.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think you have to consider this a team that begins and ends with the quarterback, and they will interview all sorts of people in every one of their households. This conversation is going on, and there are people at their current jobs that are worried that they're going to take the Bears job. But, for the Bears, if I'm a Bears fan, this is another team that has just been grasping at straws forever. I don't know that they're going to get a sure bet. NFL coaching hires are tough.
They are.
Who saw Dan Campbell working out this way in Detroit? I mean,
No.
that team seemed like it was never going to find, like honestly, never going to find a great head coach because they've never had one.
Yeah, and he started his press conference after taking the job saying, I'm not Matt Campbell.
Apologizing for
I'm
not
Dan
being
Campbell.
Matt Campbell. Right.
Yeah. So things have changed.
I don't, if I'm a Bears fan, I want somebody that really, now, Matt Campbell is Brock Purdy's college coach. He's worked out really well in the NFL. I mean, that's a feather in his cap. There's no doubt about it. But, I do think I want to make a bigger splash, but I don't know the NFL. There are not coaches just lining up, coaches that are well established elsewhere in college ranks or with other NFL teams that would be lining up to take that job. I mean, working with the Chicago Bears has been, kind of a death sentence for a lot of people.
Yeah, including some of the fans. Matt Campbell's greatest coaching job arguably was preparing his Cyclone team to go to Oklahoma in 2017 and take on Baker Mayfield, the eventual Heisman Trophy winner, and the Sooners. And that was the day we all learned the name Kyle Kempt.
Yeah.
Because he was not the backup quarterback. He was the third team quarterback. But Campbell thought that Kempt would handle the noise and pressure of Norman, Oklahoma as a seasoned veteran better than the backup, the actual backup at the time, and name escapes me. But he went to Kyle Kempt. And that remains in some ways the most impressive Iowa State football win ever, to go in there against that team and win with your third string quarterback making his first start. And I mention all that because since then, Kyle Kempt has been an offensive assistant. He was the quality control assistant for the passing game at Iowa State this past season. But Joe Woodley, the new Drake football coach, hires Kyle Kempt as his offensive coordinator. So Kempt is going over to Drake. Now, this was announced the same day we find out the Bears are interviewing Matt Campbell. So I had numerous people ask me or speculate that this is not coincidence. But I am told that it is coincidence. That is coincidence, and that this is a big step up in what Kempt hopes will be a successful coaching career, to go from passing game quality control to the offensive coordinator at Drake.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all heard people jump to that conclusion that day. We're like, well, that this is what happens when, a coach is getting ready to leave. He tells his assistants and they start looking for jobs elsewhere, and then they leave. Well, Kyle Kempt was a pretty low-level assistant in that offense. Yes. He's not the offensive coordinator.
Right.
I don't even think he was like a passing game assistant. Quality control, emphasis on passing game.
There's a lot of assistants these days.
There are, and they've got some kind of complicated titles at Iowa State. But
they do.
This is a guy that needs to take the next step up, and he's got his ladder to climb, and that's a really good step. I mean, going to work, we know Joey Woodley really well, and that's a good step. Bring Kyle Kempt in there, let him pay his dues. I mean, he's got dues to pay. This is the way this should work. I mean, you should work your way up. And, you get that first job on your name based on because of your name at your alma mater, but then you go out there and you pay your dues at other places where you've, earned those jobs. And so that I think it's fun for Drake. I'm excited. I know he'll like working for Joe Woodley. But I don't think that this means that Matt Campbell is definitely leaving for the Bears. First of all, that's the Bears' decision.
Yeah, I don't think it means that at all. I think it is a coincidence. The Iowa women lost their second straight basketball game last night. That's the first time that's happened in more than 2 years. Lost at Illinois 62-57. Some growing pains are always inevitable here for many reasons. You've changed the head coach from Lisa Bluter to Jan Jensen. You lost Gabby Marshall. You lost Kate Martin. But most importantly, you lost arguably the greatest women's basketball player of all time in college basketball, Caitlin Clark. And this is a reminder that you're not just that Iowa's not just, don't put them in the championship game automatically again this year. You've lost Caitlin Clark. I mean, we saw Iowa State play South Carolina and UConn this season, blown out both times. We saw Maryland take complete control of the game against Iowa this past Sunday. Those kinds of things, by and large, didn't. In fact, Iowa beat South Carolina and UConn in the past 2 seasons with Caitlin Clark there. This is going to be something that'll be okay. Jan Jensen will get this team back on its feet. They'll be fine. They're going to win a lot of games. They're going to go to the NCAA tournament. But you also have to remind yourself what you've seen the past 4 years is not going to happen again.
It's the rebuilding reminder, but it seems like it's come a month late, right? Or maybe 2 months late. Where
it's such a strong start.
Yeah, because we thought we were going to get this reminder, right off the top of the season. Oh, yeah, Caitlin Clark is gone. Lisa Bluter's gone. Kate Martin's gone. This is a really different team, but then they were great. So we were, it's not like we weren't aware that those people weren't there anymore, but it was almost like, this is just going to be the way it is forever. No, it's a rebuild.
They're going to be fine, and Jan Jensen is not overthinking it.
I think it's really important for everybody to let this year's team be this year's team. Everybody keeps looking back and saying, they didn't lose that. And, we didn't. We had a really good crew. They played together for 4 years. And so my job is to keep them here. There's a lot of season left. There is so much season, whether we would have won Sunday and would have won tonight, I can't afford to compare what has happened in the past, because these guys are giving me a lot, and they're still young, and I got to develop a little bit of some senior leadership or upperclassmen leadership. I think that is what we're missing, but I'm not here to, I'm disappointed we lost 2, but this team has lost 2. I'm not interested in thinking back or thinking about the future. I'm just wanting to really focus on the fact that I got to keep finding the right combination.
Video thanks to Blake Hornstein, Hawkeye headquarters. Andy, it sounded like she just listened to our conversation and addressed it directly.
She sounded hoarse to me. I wonder if she yells more as a head coach than she did as an assistant.
No doubt. Yeah, she yells more.
Yeah. Well, we like Jan Jensen.
She's such a nice person.
So much, yeah.
They'll be fine. Ankeny versus Southeast Polk Wrestling last night. Both crowds were asked to leave after 8 matches. This photo here, courtesy of Ankeny Activities Network. Thank you for that. So they asked the people to leave because it got so unruly. Now, there's a post from Iowa Wrestling on my Facebook page that has hundreds of comments. And Andy, let me
I can almost
see if you're surprised
here. But go ahead, yeah.
So tell me if this shocks you.
Mm-hmm.
The people from Ankeny think it's Southeast Polk's fans that caused this. The people from Southeast
they're not
Polk,
claiming responsibility for their own behavior?
No. The people from Southeast Polk say it's Ankeny that was the problem.
Okay. Oh. So they are not taking the blame. They're not taking responsibility for the scene. They're saying it was the other team.
One of the most let me look this up real quick. One of the most common comments on here is that wrestling crowds are always passionate and parents are always really vocal, and that they're really surprised that the officials, after after handing out a couple of penalties, decided enough. We're clearing the gym out. And by the way, I'm told that took about 13 or 14 minutes to clear it out and then restart. But I think many people are going to love this and want more of it, because parents especially are out of control. And the single biggest problem is all parents think it's the other parents. It's so hard for any parent to look within and say, you know what? I might be the problem. They all think it's the other parents.
Well, when we have these disputes like this, whether it's sports, politics, religion, any kind of argument, it's not always even on both sides. Oftentimes, one side is far more guilty than the other side. I mean, it's not always even. But I know where you're going in this conversation. I do not believe that the officials. First of all, this doesn't happen very often. Mm-hmm. So the officials understand that when they do this, this is going to stand out. People are going to say, wow, the next day they're going to be talking about this for the next week. I mean, until the next meet, and probably for the rest of the season, they're going to be talking about this.
It's an attention getter.
It is a real attention getter. So when they do go to this move, they're smart enough. Hell, they live and breathe. They have hair. They retain heat. It's all it takes to know that you better be justified in making this move, and you better be able to say fans on both sides needed to go. I mean, there's no way to kick out one side and the other. Mm-hmm. Not the other. I don't think so. But honestly, when you were first started talking about this, the thing that jumped out to me is that I've always been surprised that this doesn't happen more often in wrestling, because I've covered a lot of wrestling, and as somebody who didn't grow up in this state and didn't grow up in a state that's, great nuts for wrestling like Iowa is, I've always been surprised that parents don't get at each other's throats more often. They are so intense in wrestling. They're
the
so
most passionate fans.
And at the college level, you will not feel, as a Cyhawk fan, you will not feel the same intensity at any other Cyhawk event than at the Cyhawk wrestling event, which is, well, it seems like almost always won by one side right now. I mean, it's been the Hawkeyes all the way, but still it's like everything is riding on that, not just that duel, but each individual match or point even. There is so much passion, and, we see the coaches get into that. You see how coaches in other sports don't act like the Brands brothers do. And we love the way that we're not knocking them, and they're so into it. They both are just inches away from actually wrestling. In the circle.
They would like
time.
to.
They would. They want to. They want a reason. Give me a reason. I'll get in there. There is so much passion in that sport. I can't believe it is regularly as controlled as it is. So when I see this happen, I'm not surprised. I don't know that I'm particularly ashamed. I should be, though. This should not happen. But as a parent, as we've been there, if you've got a kid that's participated in sports or probably any sort of competitive activity, you find yourself getting too into it.
We weren't there, so it's hard to pass any kind of judgment on what happened. But generally, I like the idea of officials saying, all right, that's enough.
Yeah.
You were warned. It's still out of control. We're clearing the gym. We'll still have the competition. We're not ending that, but no one can be here because you can't behave. And I also think it's important to note, we have an officiating crisis in this country and in this state. It is harder all the time to get people to agree to do this because of this.
Yes.
This is the main reason. Yes, there are long drives and bad pay and lukewarm food, and all of that is true. But most of the officials do this because they love the sport and they love the kids. But it is the parents that are discouraging officials from participating or getting out of it earlier than they expected. So I like this move without having all of the details. And I know somebody who was there that doesn't have a rooting interest and said from his vantage point, he thought Southeast Polk was more to blame for what happened. I'm sure that nobody who's rooting for the Rams feels that that's the case, but there was fault, I'm sure, on both sides, but he felt like the Southeast Polk fans were a little bit more unruly. And now here's Bruce Willis on Between Two Ferns.
Bruce, I'm going to need you to loosen up a little bit. This is hard for me. I'm intimidated, and you don't seem to be answering the questions that I.
Have we started? We're not doing the interview now, right?
No. We've been doing it for about 4 minutes.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about, Willis? You ever heard that before?
No. It's a little easy, I gotta tell you.
Look who's talking.
What a great sport. Confluence is the official beer of Murph and Andy. Confluence, where good things come together.
Just talking to the Confluence guys yesterday, getting our spring planned out with them.
Oh, geez. I would like to have a spring patio beer right now, but
just think how
you can't even go to the south for that.
By the time March rolls around, yeah.
At least the Orange Bowl wasn't freezing.
I guess it was.
Well, it was high 50s.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not
but they
bad
think that's
to,
freezing there.
Well, yeah. We were there for the coldest night in the history of Miami.
Yeah, that was awful.
That was awful.
My mom lives down in Florida in the wintertime, as you know, and she's not trying to be funny. My dad used to try to be funny about that. I'd be like, yeah, Dad, it's 2 degrees here. And I would, oh yeah, it was a little chilly here last night. It got down to 60. But she will say that. She'll be like, yeah, we were really cold. I was very cold last night. It was 58 degrees. I turned on the fireplace. She had a fireplace. It's like built.
It does feel colder there. You know what that's like, though. I mean, the Orange Bowl, the Hawkeyes played in. You and I were there. We went to Walmart and bought long underwear for that.
When
game.
you're not
prepared,
when you're not prepared, you're underdressed. First of all, you just feel dumb. You're like, I've got a closet full of this stuff at home, but I didn't bring it because I'm, going to Florida. But then you go to Walmart to buy a bunch of shit that you've already got triples of back at your house. You feel dumb.
Little known fact, it was, this isn't the little known fact. The game, the Orange Bowl, was on like January 3rd or 4th something. It wasn't New Year's Day, but it was colder in Miami that night than it was in Des Moines. Ed Wilson can confirm that.
That's true.
It's time for Throwdowns.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns. Backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
Heartland Tire and Auto, Ankeny, Waukee, Knoxville, Boone, and Creston. Check them out there. Guys, we talked about it earlier. Matt Campbell reportedly interviewing with the Chicago Bears. Shout out to Heavens FX on Twitter for the Photoshop. I like you guys, don't believe that Campbell's going to leave Iowa State this year, but let's play the game, okay? On one hand, Murph, you would lose the best coach you ever had at Iowa State. On the other hand, the program's probably more attractive than it's ever been. Is this closer to the best or worst time to lose Matt Campbell?
It's closer to the best time because he stayed despite all kinds of possibilities in the college and professional coaching world. He's checked more boxes. He didn't leave when everybody, especially Hawkeye fans, were just saying, oh, it's inevitable. I mean, Herb Street said nationally, he's gone. He's gone. There's no way he's staying at Iowa State. He's not staying at Iowa State. He can go any number of places, and he stayed. So 9 years in, it's definitely better because the program is in such a better place than it was. They talk about leaving the jersey in a better place. He's left the program in a better place. Although, again, I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, emotionally, Cyclone fans would be crushed, but there is no question that this is the best time that they've ever had to hire a football coach. I mean, it wouldn't be close. I mean, the way that place looks now, the way that it functions, the conference that it's in, showing what they've been able to do, what Matt Campbell has been able to do, man, there would be a line of good coaching candidates wanting to get that job. Jamie Pollard would have a longer, deeper list of names than he's had before.
Andy, the CFP continues tonight. The NFL playoffs begin tomorrow. If you could only watch one, would you watch the NFL or college football playoffs?
I This round of the NFL is still really early. I mean, there's teams I'm more interested in, but I don't know. I mean, this is a semifinal for college football. This is Ohio State and Texas. Give me that game over the NFL game. This is like the only time I'm ever going to pick that, but this will be it.
Not counting the volume here, I can watch all these NFL games versus one college football playoff game. But if we're just saying in general, Texas, Ohio State, I mean, that if I could just watch one game this weekend, that'd be it.
All right, Murph, I saw this on Facebook. It made me feel a little bit crazy. I draw a star starting at the top at 1, down to 3, over to 5, over to 2, down to 4, and then close the loop up at 1.
Yeah.
How do you, Murph, draw a star?
Exactly the same.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I do too.
You do too, Andy.
Yep.
So
yeah.
The vast majority of comments and my wife all start at the 4. Now there's other comments who start in other places, but like I was in the huge minority. Like of 95 comments on Eric Zamora's Facebook, there were like 3 people who start and go the way I go.
Really?
Yeah.
We need these people to identify themselves public. Well, maybe not by
like my
with a
wife
star.
goes 4, 1, 3, 5, 2.
I'm in such a stupid Friday mood right now. I thought for a second this was a diagram telling you the proper way to draw a star. And you had to go from 1 to 2. I was like, what kind of idiot would do that?
Who
Draw
would
the
do that?
outline?
That seems hard.
Oh,
yeah, I can't. I'm really stunned by this. I thought everybody went 1, 3, 5, 2, 4 back to 1.
I feel less crazy now. I appreciate
All right.
it.
Well,
Thank
see,
you guys. That's Throwdowns.
we're a team. Team. All right, ready or not? You ready, Andy?
I'm ready.
Scott School.
Scott School is cool. Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Well,
hi, Scott. Welcome.
I'm going to teach you about William the Conqueror today. You guys know who he is? He was originally called William the Bastard, but in 1066 he crossed the English Channel. The Duke of Normandy.
That is one of those situations where the guy made up his own nickname right there. I mean, he changed that as soon as he could.
This is like Costanza.
Yeah, he goes
in T-Bone,
and he just beats the King of England, King Harold, right? And instead of going right into London, which most people would do to get the crown, like, I got to put this on my head. No, he spends a lot of time surrounding London and just massacring everybody, burning, pillaging, raping. And so by the time he gets to London, anybody who was thinking about maybe, I'm going to fight for this crown was like, you can have it, man. And to this day, the descendant of William the Conqueror is still on the throne of England, and that's Scott School.
Scott School is cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that little upbeat.
So the Windsors
Friday
are connected
misery.
to him?
Yeah, direct descendant. Now, you would have to say, once the Catholics went out of favor, they passed in the 1700s a law that didn't allow any Catholics to become the monarch of England.
Yeah.
And so it jumped all the way, like 53 people. And then we eventually got to this German descendant, and those Germans are still, sitting on the throne.
How much inbreeding has there been in the royal family?
Not too bad on the English side. Now, if you want to look at like the Habsburgs in Spain, look at their chins. They just keep going like this, and their face gets narrower and narrower.
Are they still around?
No, they didn't make it. No, the Spanish monarchy didn't make it, and it might have had something to do with how close those people's eyes started to get together.
Hoodoo is the odd job marketplace, and Hoodoo presents Scott Sipker each week here on Murph and Andy. You can also catch Scott with Kenzo on Overthinking. That's Mondays at noon, right before Murph and Andy. So we hope you'll tune in for that.
Do you think
Scott,
she listens to the rest of the shows, Scott? Did you have to bring her all the way into the fold?
Oh,
yeah. She's starting to. I bet she's listening right now. Hi, Mackenzie.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, comment if you're listening.
I forget
Mackenzie.
that she's on our text thread now, and it's like, you gotta
clean it up for the ladies, everybody.
There are ladies present.
Yeah, watch the locker room.
You do not have to clean anything up for Mackenzie. In fact, like I told her on the show on Monday that I had a dream, a nightmare.
No, I don't want to hear this again.
Rachel had an affair with Mackenzie and left me for her. And I thought Mackenzie was going to be like, oh, that's terrible. I never. She's like,
why would you think that?
Oh, yeah, that sounds not too bad.
Yeah, what would plant this seed in your head, Scott?
Is that one of those situations where you tell somebody your dream, but you didn't have the dream? You're just hoping they would do it?
I was watching NFL Red Zone. It happened. I woke up. Rachel was sitting there, and I said, I'm so mad at you. I can't believe you did this to me.
You don't have to share everything.
Mackenzie is pretty good looking.
I think we can all guess how the rest of that dream went, but we'll let you off the hook, Scott.
Let's move as fast as possible to the stupid quickie poll presented by WCI Pools and Spas somewhat reluctantly.
What's the best nickname for the 801 Grand Building in downtown Des Moines? Is it the Principal Building? That's what a lot of people call it. Big P, the Corn Stalk, or the Penis of the Prairie?
Yeah, see, Prick of the Prairie is really funny, but there's the Hilton Hotel in Springfield, Illinois also has that nickname, and it really looks like the Prick of the Prairie. There's like a big tip on the end of it and everything, a big like cap on the hotel. Andrew, see if you can find the hotel Springfield, Illinois. It's the tallest building there, and they call it the Prick of the Prairie.
Andy, will you please read the comment on the screen?
I thought 801 Grand Building was nicknamed after Scott, the Des Moines Dick. Jeez.
Thank you. I've always wanted to have a building named after me.
Oh my gosh.
The Des Moines. Yeah, that's it. The Prick of the Prairie. Look at that thing. There's like a tip on it and everything.
Jeez.
I don't know. I think the
that's in
building
Springfield,
looks
Illinois.
more like a penis.
You do?
Scott, why?
That looks more like a penis.
Why the stupid quickie poll? Is there some kind of conversation about naming it, or this just popped in your head after watching NFL Red Zone?
Legitimately, I think about this every time I see that building because it's not really the Principal Building. We just call it that. So why can't we come up with something more cool? Like, you know how the Sears Tower became the Willis Tower? I don't ever want to go through with that. If Principal goes under or sells for some reason, I don't want it to be the Quick Trip Building.
It isn't called the Principal Building?
No,
that's what I call it.
There are many Principal
buildings.
Buildings.
801 Grand?
Yeah, 801 Grand is probably the most common reference.
That's why I think Penis of the Prairie, which is different than Prick of the Prairie, which is why I picked it. Thanks, Andy. It should stick. I think Penis of the Prairie, it's very masculine.
No one who works there wants to say I'm headed into the penis of the prairie.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. If you're a urologist, you probably would.
A lot of comments saying the Nebraska State Capitol in Lincoln is the Prick of the Prairie.
Oh.
It looks penis-ish.
Yeah, it looks like it's caught peeing or having a catheter inserted.
I call it the Principal Building. I've always called it that.
But don't you just say 801 Grand?
No? I say that when I'm talking about the restaurant. Or that's 801 State. I say 801 Steak and Chop House. But I don't know. Does the Empire State Building go by its address?
No.
I don't even know what that is.
No, I wouldn't. I don't even know what the. I've been there and I don't know what the address is. Scott, I want one more person in on this star drawing because it's difficult for me to believe that anybody would start down at the. Did you say the 4?
The 4
AD?
is the most common, yeah.
That's the most common? Start at the 4?
According to my research on Facebook, that's by
I
far
will say,
the most common.
When I sign my name and I sign the A, I start at the 4 position and go 4, 1, 3, over to 5, and then swirl around.
Same.
That's what I do, but not when I'm drawing a star.
Yeah, I go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
1, 4, 2, 5.
Oh, you
3.
go the other way.
Yeah.
Oh. But you're right-handed.
I am, I think.
Okay.
Yes, this is my right hand.
I just thought
it's on the left side of my screen.
Thought everybody
this is why
learned that
Throwdowns
the same
is
way.
important.
Yeah. AD, thank you. Thanks for helping us learn more about each other. Now let's get some more.
But wait, there's more. From Either Or Eatery and Patio.
We have a fight going on over here in the comments section. Let's break it up. We will throw all of you out of here. Okay.
I want to see the fight. What's the fight?
I don't know
Is it Brian? Is Brian involved?
Yeah.
You are an
mad at me.
idiot. A lot
Is
of people call it the principal building. I now vote for Scott's dick pic building. Now, who's the other side of the fight?
I don't know. He's
I
calling somebody.
think me. I'm. Of course, most people call it the principal building. What I'm saying is that's short-sighted because at some point, principal might not own that building, and then we got to go through this whole thing where we call it the Casey's building, which just doesn't sound cool.
All right.
We just
He
keep it
says
the
it's
peanuts
the
and
lack
prairie.
of principles building.
Andy, I have not been to either or since the last show.
Good.
They weren't
Good.
open.
They weren't open.
They weren't open. They do reopen tonight. And driving by multiple times yesterday, it looks like they are keeping the outdoor Christmas lights up for a while longer yet, which I'm kind of glad to see. That just looks cool outside. Inside, they've cleaned it all up. It's back to normal. But a really good run is tinsel. So just around the corner. I did this story last night. Scott, I don't know if you've seen this yet. Andrew, you got to see this. So the Val Air Ballroom has more big news. And it's Sam Summers is running like a Swiss watch over there. 2 years ago, January 23, they just started the renovations there. I mean, that building was almost condemned and bulldozed. Holes in the ceiling, rotting foundation, absolute mess, animals living in there. It was trashed.
It was kind of sad because it has so much history.
So much history. He started a $15 million renovation. He said, I'm going to be done in a year. And I was like, wow, that's pretty ambitious. He was done in a year. And then told me last winter as I was doing another story, he said, okay, I'm already moved on to the next project here. I'm doing the basement. I was like, the basement? There's a basement
I love this.
here?
This is great.
So he takes me down to the basement. We go down the basement. It is like a cavern down there. It is the biggest basement I've ever seen. Literally the entire circumference of the Val Air Ballroom has basement under it, and it's all open. It's got a gravel floor, and he's just starting to, stub out some plumbing and electric. And he's like, yeah, I want to make a restaurant down here so that people have a place to go before the concerts. And so I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that sounds a little ambitious, but we'll see. 1 year later, he's ready to open. As a matter of fact, has it open, not one, but 2 restaurant bars that blew my mind yesterday. They are so cool. In the basement of the Val Air Ballroom, you've got a blue-collar bar called Work in Progress. And to that theme, they've got, exposed ducts and concrete walls. It's really cool. It's cheap. They've got like this mystery beer machine for $3. You get to hit the button and whatever cold beer comes out, that's the beer you get. They've got like 20 types of cheap beer in there.
And this is open. This will be open daily and like till 2 a.m.
Not yet. Daily until 2 a.m. Not just when they have concerts, but really good food. And on the other side is this incredible, dimly lit, leather booth clad speakeasy, kind of a supper club called Tom Archer's Poor Man's Country Club. Tom Archer is like the Sam Summers of his day. He started the Val Air. He's booking the shows, but he's booking Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Count Basie, the Beach Boys on what I believe was their first trip out of California. Got him to the Val Air. Tom also had a supper club or a ballroom in downtown Des Moines. Had them all over the place. I think he had 7 of them, but really in kind of the same era as the Surf Ballroom is rocking up in Clear Lake. He's doing it down here with the Val Air Ballroom, which is of course like out the country where it's at Ashworth and Grand, but it's absolutely amazing. The supper club or country club doesn't open until the end of the month. Reservations went live this morning. You go to Toast Tables, that app there, to make reservations. They don't advertise with us. I'm just telling you, this place is really, really cool. You got to check it out. And suddenly this property has gone from an eyesore, like one that really, literally almost met the wrecking ball, to one of the coolest spots in town, right around the corner from either or. that whole area there on the corner of Des Moines and West Des Moines.
Walking distance for Scott.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
Of course, when I bought this property 7 years ago, none of these things were around. Pal Joey's was about it. And now it's just exploding. And all of this is within walking distance for me. And the bike trails, it's an incredible part of Des Moines. I love, and West Des Moines, of course. I feel very fortunate to be over in this neck of the woods.
Yeah, it makes all the sense of the world, too. You go early, you park. There's no problem parking. You have dinner down there. Then you go upstairs to the concert. And if you want to have a drink afterwards, come back downstairs, go to the other bar. You can hit 3 different places without moving your car for 3 different types of entertainment in one night. I think it's a huge boost to Des Moines. Des Moines is better because of it. Hy-Vee has announced that they're no longer carrying Tone's Spices.
Really?
Which is really weird because Tone's Spices is in Ankeny. It's located in Ankeny, this giant spice place. I did a story on that. Travis Jungling and I went in there, and it was crazy. You go in the door, it smells like black pepper. You step into the lobby, and it smells like oregano. And then you go down the hallway, and it smells like anise. And then you step into the production room, and it smells like cumin. And it's like all of these spices, just crazy. It's like you're going from one country to another by just walking down a hallway. And they make all these spices there. They get them in from literally every corner of the world and package them all up there at Tone Spices. But
is it a contract deal, or I would, because I know Iowa people love Iowa products.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either. The excuse that we got from Hy-Vee is that Tones wasn't able to, there's always 2 sides of the story, but they say Tones wasn't able to consistently provide enough product. And I know that is a big problem for companies the size of Hy-Vee. I mean, whether you're a beer distributor or whomever, I mean, if the place can't supply you with a consistent amount of product, I mean, you do not want to have empty shelves in your grocery store, people going up looking for stuff that's not there. So I do get that, but it is still really strange and very ironic that 2 huge corporations located minutes from each other are somehow not going to do business together again.
Something doesn't smell right. I'm not trying to be punny here. I don't know. It feels like there's maybe some personalities going on here clashing. I have no reporting on this.
Yeah.
This just doesn't really, there's something here that we don't know.
I'll make a prediction that this will somehow get worked out, and Tones will be back on the shelf.
I do use a lot of Tone Spices. And as far as I know, Fairway still got them. So that's good for everybody that likes Tone Spices. From LinkedIn, the fastest growing jobs in 2025. This is going to shock our friend Scott here. The fastest growing job this year is going to be artificial intelligence engineer. Followed by artificial intelligence consultant.
Jeez. Which everybody listening to this right now, if you don't have a job, you can train yourself to do this right now. Just get on ChatGPT, pay the $20 a month. The thing will rock your world, and people are scared of this. You have a huge opportunity to make a career, become a consultant, and get on to automating all these processes. You can drop one single file in Google Drive and turn all of that content into any social media post, visuals, audio. There's an incredible amount of things that you can do. It's terrifying. I wish it wasn't happening, but it is. And the next 18 months are going to be a lot of change is going to be happening.
So Murph, be honest here. Is this one of those things that makes you think, say silently to yourself, okay, I'm not going to be around that much longer. It'll be okay.
Yep. Absolutely. My second thought was
kind of glad I'm not 20. Yeah.
Couldn't AI write Scott School? Yeah.
Yes. And guess what it does?
Colin said to me before he went back to college, and it's the first time he's ever really mentioned anything like this, but it was sweet. But he said to me, I think it'd be really cool to be a sportscaster like you, and I've thought about it, but just the direction of everything, it just doesn't seem like it makes sense. But I just wanted you to know that I had thought about that many times, and It just doesn't seem like it would work.
I
was like, well, there's still jobs to be had, but I get it. You probably don't. Your ambition at this point probably shouldn't be to go work for your local affiliate.
No, but that is the first time that I've heard you or anybody in the business that I know say that their kids wanted to get into it.
Yeah, he wanted to get into it the way it was 30 years ago, or the way he's heard it talked about,
which he doesn't
not the
remember.
way it is now.
Yeah, which we don't remember, let alone Colin, who wasn't born then. This is really something over in Thailand. A gang of 200 wild monkeys is running around terrorizing people in Thailand. The aggressive monkeys even took over a police station in the town of Lopburi. So Bangkok has announced that they will be neutering up to 100 macaque monkeys to help regulate their population. Apparently, these monkeys are little SOBs. They really get into it. They threaten people. They steal food. They break things. They shit all over the place, and they occasionally masturbate in public. So, I mean, look, two words into this. I knew this was. You knew this was the male monkeys that were really the problem.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. I seriously doubt the female monkeys are causing. Well, you know that they're not doing some of this stuff, but
do you?
This is such a guy thing, right? I mean,
are you sure this isn't some kind of guerrilla advertising for that new Robbie Williams musical?
It's not an advertisement for travel to Thailand. Jeez. Well, I mean, everything was fine. It was going great. And then this monkey masturbated all over my backpack and really took the trip in a different direction. No.
Monkeys masturbate all the time.
Because they can.
Yeah. What else do they have to do?
Like, they have no shame. I mean, they throw shit everywhere. And have you ever been to like a zoo and had second-hand embarrassment for the monkey?
Yes.
Where, like, remember the Seinfeld when Kramer got in the fight with the monkey? He got in the argument, but then the monkey just got like really like psychotic. He just really went into a state. All right, now here's the Illinois Secretary of State, Alex Giannoulis, on this year's rejected personalized plate requests.
Some of the rejects included bitchin', jagweed, axhole, I see what you did there, weenie, get, which I had to Google, a bad MF, munch, which I'm told means more than it sounds, thick AF, again, had to look that up, duck off, maybe they were using autocorrect, shitted, did you really think we wouldn't catch that? And new to this list this year, and surprising no one, Haktua. You knew that one was bound to show up this year.
This guy's great.
That's awesome.
I know. I love this.
I love this. That's awesome. Every state should do that.
Yeah, I wish my kids weren't over my shoulder when I was listening to that for the first time. But they both said, yeah, kids at my school say that all the time.
I need help with the one he said he had to Google.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, it means a fat ass.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's what the kids say.
Oh.
Yeah. AD knows his slang.
Get that ass.
Yeah, the badonkadonk of today.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
There you go.
My girlfriend's got a
All right, many Zoomers suffer from, the ones who are using this language, the Zoomers, they suffer from what's called telephonophobia. Think we can guess what that means? With symptoms that include nausea, an increased heart rate, shortness of breath, dizziness, and muscular tension, all because they have to make a phone call. Over in the UK, the Nottingham College is seeing a lot of the same problem with Gen Z, so they are introducing coaching to help them deal with talking to someone on the phone.
And they say that this generation is soft.
The college course has students use role play and call restaurants to ask what time they open.
I've had this my whole life. I have. Oh God, I hate it. I always feel like I'm inconveniencing the person that I'm calling. Like if I have to call for food or something, I'm always like, the person's going to be freaking annoyed that they have to work. Like I never feel like it's okay, but you just have to do it. You just have to eat it and go.
I like talking on the phone. I really do. As you guys know, I call you guys and probably one of the few people that does, but
you're not much of a texter.
No, and I'll tell you who I like talking on the phone to the most is Hassel. Partially because I hate texting with him so much because he always sounds like such a dick. But he, like when you text with Hassel, you have no idea what tone he is using, right? You don't. We've known him forever.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is wrong with him?
Is he upset with me?
Yeah, and then you talk to him on the phone, and it doesn't seem like that at all. But the one weird thing about the way Chris talks on the phone is that when he answers the phone, he answers with a question mark. Hello? Like, hello?
Hello?
Like, does this
question
work?
mark?
Is this working?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Is this a phone call? Yeah, it's very strange. All right, let's see if we can help Charlie on Reddit as we finish up here. He got a problem with his wife.
Ooh.
My wife and I, well, we like working through these relationship problems. I mean, it's always fun to look at somebody else's problems, right?
Sure.
Makes you feel better about your own.
I hope.
My wife and I have been together for 2 years, and I think we finally found our line in the sand moment. Last week, my uncle called me, said he'd won a safari package for 4 people, and he wanted to invite me and my wife. The dates of the trip are firm, can't be moved. It works with my schedule, but not my wife's. So she's now telling me she doesn't want to go. For me, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and all it would cost me is airfare. I didn't get married so I could be told what I could and couldn't do by someone.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to be understanding when it comes to her point of view, but I think her point of view is selfish. I really want to go. Right now, I'm having trouble finding common ground, and I don't know what to do. You know, I was reading this for the first time, and I was like, oh, she's being really unreasonable. Why wouldn't you want to take a trip? And then I started like sounding the rest of it out. A trip to Africa with Uncle Steve. So I would like to know more about this.
Yeah.
But
Is there a possibility he could bring a friend or somebody else or just go by himself?
What if
any
Uncle
of those options
Steve-
are there, everybody
yeah.
wins.
Yeah. What if Uncle Steve sucks? I mean, you don't take a short trip to Africa.
Unless this guy's like in Spain, but I think he's American, right?
Yeah, he's American. You are, and it's a safari, which means you're probably going to be sleeping in a tent with Uncle Steve. And you can't just be like, oh, God, this trip is not going well. I'm going home. Oops, I forgot. I'm in Zimbabwe. I mean, this could really, if this guy sucks, the uncle sucks, or the trip is something you really don't want to do, that could be hell.
Oh,
so
the
I think
sound
there's
of
at least
hyenas in your ear will just drive you crazy.
You could get eaten too, right? I mean, it could be dangerous, but there's another side to this. I initially thought, okay, she's being unreasonable. Why wouldn't you take a free trip to Africa? But Murph, give us some levity here.
I do believe Jenny would say to me, if this is really important to you, I would go.
Yeah.
But I hope to God there's an alternative, because I do not want to go on an African safari. If it means the world to you and it's the only option.
She would say that. That'd be the second part of the
go.
sentence.
But yeah, the second part of the sentence would be, but I really, really don't want to do this.
And then you would do what?
I think I would ask if there's the possibility, if I really wanted to go, which this wouldn't be the thing that would make me call Uncle Steve and say, Steve, it's just not going to work out for both of us to go. Could I still come, or Should I invite somebody else, or is it just the two of us or no one? I think I would go. Jenny would not want to do this. African
I like
safari?
your philosophy, though, that if it is a tie, essentially, on the argument, then whoever it's most important to wins the tie. And that's what Jenny is saying. She would go on this if you really, really wanted to. But
she would.
Please don't make me go.
Wait, do you want to go on a safari with somebody who doesn't want to go on a safari?
No.
No.
But there are times where, like, we've gone to a concert for the other, like, I really don't want to see, but yeah, I'll go to this. And it usually works out where it's like, surprisingly, you like it. But then there's Eric Church. Jenny still won't stop talking about
how much she disliked that.
God,
well,
he
Andrew,
stood at the microphone. He didn't do anything except sing songs I didn't know.
Andrew, who's the asshole here?
This is a tough one.
It is.
I think this guy's being a little too rigid, but you're right. Like if it's this important to him, the wife should at least just let him go. She doesn't have to go.
Yeah, right. It doesn't want him to go. You think she's?
I think she's probably the asshole here. If she's not letting him go because she doesn't want to go, just let him go.
But it's not like a trip to Hawaii. It's an African safari. That's a very specific kind of trip.
Yeah, I mean, they could
not
be,
for everybody.
Iggy is right here. You can have them where they stay in a really nice hotel and then they just go out during the day. But
that would be
the
different.
ones that I see people doing can be a bit rustic. So either way, that's just a long trip. I mean, how far is the flight to Africa? Like 35 hours?
We need to know more, but they'll be divorced by the time we find out.
That's your more, everybody.
All right, Scott, by the way, listening to Overthinking this past Monday, did you really come to the party last Friday empty-handed and take something from Mackenzie and her husband to give the appearance that you and Rachel were walking into the house with good manners?
Yeah. We I panicked because we had pulled up to the party and Mackenzie was nervous, so we wanted to be there to walk in with her. And I looked at Rachel. I go, "We forgot the wine," and we're like, "Oh God, we'll just go to Hy-Vee."
You had bought some wine. You had some
wine here. Yes, it's downstairs. It's in a little.
You had bought wine, or you're still trying to pick out which wine you would re-gift over at our house?
You had bought wine for Murph's party, Scott?
Well, I didn't buy it for Murph's party, but we have extra bottles of wine here for situations like this.
We're getting to it now.
And so I start, and I'm driving Hoodoo 1, right? This big billboard. And
Can't
so I'm
miss
like,
it.
oh God, they're going to see us. So we start driving away to go to the Hy-Vee. And I call Mackenzie and tell her, hey, look, we got to go to the Hy-Vee. It's just on 42nd. We'll meet you back here. She's like, oh, well, I got some stuff that you can carry. And I was like, that's a brilliant idea. Let's do that.
That's a really nice thing to do.
Yeah. And then it was even better because then John Liebel showed up with an entire, I think he had 12 different bottles of whiskey.
Yeah.
He's like, Sipker, help me carry these in. And I was
a
like,
bunch of bottles of wine,
easy.
which he had really nice wine. It was really nice, John, to bring those. But
really nice.
And that, all the other wine got lost in his wine. So you really got some cover there.
So Scott, if you can resist your urge to have to share with everybody everything, you get away with this.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna. I'm in the era where I want to be congruent and honest and authentic, and I know people are in situations like this all the time. So yeah, if you're scared of me saying the truth, then maybe don't listen to Overthinking. And the truth as I interpret it, by the way.
Yeah, it's what we all do. It is time for the Andrew Downs audio drop of the day. We call it the AD Squared.
Yeah, it's powered by Game Day Men's Health. I was in there yesterday at the Ankeny location getting my weekly tee shot. I ran into Bill Morris, and he was telling me some cool things. He said that
who is Bill Morris?
He's like the head honcho of our local Game Day.
Is he related to Philip Morris?
You have to ask him. I don't know.
He would have more money,
opposite.
though.
This guy's for your health.
Yeah, exactly. He and Philip were.
I was going to say, if he is, they probably don't speak.
It's his evil twin brother. Exactly. They went different directions.
All right, so this is the local Grand Poobah of Game Day Men's Health.
And he's getting calls from game days across the country because Iowa Everywhere listeners are going into their local game days and telling them, hey, I heard it on Iowa Everywhere. They just opened one in Minneapolis, and he said 3 people came in right away and referenced Iowa Everywhere. He's gotten calls from New Orleans and Florida and Atlanta. So we really appreciate our listeners obviously using the sponsors that we have, but letting them know that, hey, we heard it on Iowa Everywhere. That helps us. It helps our, the businesses. It was just really cool to hear that yesterday. That and it's cool for me because I know these guys are getting help like I am with Game Day Men's Health. But it is Friday, so some parental advisory is necessary here. None of these bleeps are necessary. It's all innocent conversation. But I have placed bleeps to make you hear things that aren't actually being said. What you hear is on you, not on us. It's This Week in Iowa Unnecessary Censorship.
The Guest House Tavern and Oyster in West Des Moines sets the table for sports and more, including SEC Humboldt, Scataboo, Wow, and f***ing Rally.
My most useful Christmas present this year, those of you who don't have or big won't understand.
Aiden Hutchinson out for the season, and I think he might still lead the Lions in That's how good he is.
That reminds me, I had a dream last night that I was in some room with Fales, and he all over himself. And it got on
sure
me.
That wasn't reality?
Well, they want to see me lose some skin, and they want to see me the finger, and I don't blame him.
The bowling ball and cleats had said he's the best running back in America, and then he went out there and made a case. Rushing, receiving, passing, f***ing. He did it all.
I used to be able to all day long, and you wouldn't feel it at all. You were fine. Now I for 15 minutes, and man, the next day I'm like, why does my arm hurt?
Jeez, AD, that was a little on the sexualized side, innuendo.
I don't have any idea what you're talking about, Murph.
I heard some things. You're right. It's my mind. Quickie poll results. 2 quickie polls today presented by WCI Pools and Spas.
Who looks worse as a big-time football coach, James Franklin or Brian Kelly? Brian Kelly running away with us with 76% of the vote. Say it's him. And then we got the stupid quickie poll. What is the best nickname for the 801 Grand Building? The principal building says 61% of the vote. 33% say the penis of the prairie.
That's second. Penis of the prairie is second.
Let's go.
6% say whatever that other one was, the big P.
The big P.
All right. Well, what do you say we go have a weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do
kind
that.
of a late start.
Yeah, it's a late start. Thank you for being part of Murph and Andy and supporting local media, as AD just mentioned. Be sure to check out the merch store at iowaeverywhere.com. By the way, I paid my bill yesterday. I may have spent too much time at the merch store, but good stuff there. And AD will take care of you along with AKC Marketing. We'd appreciate it if you'd like review and subscribe on whatever platform you found us. Please mention when you do support our local sponsors why you're there, and that helps everything. We're back Monday. Hope you are too. Have a great weekend.
Go Bills!